Hello and welcome to this video. Today I'm going to be doing a stock analysis on Genmab. Now Genmab is a Danish company which makes medicine and is also a kind of a biotech company. Now as you can probably notice here, you can see this huge drop off all the way up from 16,164 and now we're trading at 1,303 Danish crowns. Now the reason I want to focus on this is because recently it just was announced that their partnership with Johnson & Johnson about their Hexabyte CD38 was not gonna be successful, and Johnson Johnson opted out of the agreement. Now, if you don't know, Genmab's primary drug is called Darzalex, and it is what you'll call a mega seller because it is a large portion of their revenue. And then Hexabyte CD38 was supposed to be a newer version of that, but Johnson Johnson opted out of it. And given the agreement, as far as I know, at the moment they can't make that partnership with anyone else, so they would have to do a completely new test run. But I won't speculate on that because I'm actually not sure it's 100% confirmed yet. Now, as you can see, ever since that drop off, we had a huge sell off. Just look at this 50-day moving average. The green line here, it just tanked through the goddamn floor. And for the day, it is minus 4%. Now, I do like this company, to be honest, because even though it is a quite strong week at the moment, I mean, in the technicals, the reason I like it is because it is so cheap. People really overestimated how much that the Johnson & Johnson agreement was worth, which means if you do a calculation of how much you sell each product for and then minus the Darzalex and the Hex by the CD38, which they would have earned, you actually get their entire pipeline and all of their other products for free. So the current stock price is primarily based on if they were to gain that money, which means now that they won't, you actually get the entire portfolio for free if you minus their mega seller, which is quite interesting because that of course means that the upside in this is huge. Of course, there is still going to be some negativity about it because, of course, why wouldn't you want a mega seller for Johnson Johnson, a huge company that is much bigger than Genmab? So yeah, that is of course a bit of a something you have to be wary about. As you can see, it is a quite volatile stock at the moment, and it has been ever since this is when it wasn't confirmed that Johnson opted out, and then here we did have the confirmation. Now it is quite bad technical at the moment, so I would not buy into this at all, but I do like the company. So personally, I am waiting for the technicals to flat out and give me a golden cross, and I will buy with arms and legs, that's for sure, because I simply think that the entire portfolio of drugs that Genmab has is simply way too good. Now, if we take a bit of a longer look at it, as you can see, it has tanked quite a lot. It was trading all the way up here in, what was that? 2000 was open. It was all the way up in 3000, I believe. So yeah, quite poor technicals. But that it was simply because all the time when Johnson & Johnson didn't come out and say we want a partner, it was just a kind of a bad thing to have under the surface because that meant that people were quite speculative. And the more speculative you are in companies like this, where the less details is worse because everybody thought that it was less and less likely to happen. Of course, that is also why you see the big sell-off all the way up from up here. So that's of course quite unfortunate. But now, if you take a look at the earnings, it was actually quite impressive back in February as it spiked 125% more than the actual estimation. Now, as you can see here, they make nice money. So that is of course an important thing for a biotech company like this, because many biotech companies rely on their stock price to raise money until they make money. But Genmab is an old company and it makes very large money, so I like it quite a lot also because their drug portfolio is very diverse, which is of course nice because that means that they look at different things. And they recently just bought a company. I don't recall what that company is called. But now if you look at their performance, as you can see, it has not been fun owning this stock these past years. And then as you can see, some years we have nice gains in 13, in 15, and 12. We had 100% each year, so owning it back then would have been incredibly nice. And then, as you can see here, again, nice gains even in 22 when most companies didn't. They actually gained. But ever since 22, it has been rough owning this stock. So yeah, right now it's simply in a too much of a downward going path to buy in. So of course you should wait for it to level out a bit more. Now, as you can see, the technical is a strong sell all over the place. I mean, look at this sell signals. So yeah, quite poor at the moment. So if you're like me and you trade with momentum, which I prefer to do because that means that typically it's gonna increase more over time, rather than buying what I would like to call a falling knife. Yes, it might be cheap now, but you don't know if it will. If let's say this goes to 110 before it picks up, well then you just lost what about 18% of your investment if you'd had waited. So yeah. Now the analyst rating here is actually quite nice. As you can see, we have 14 strong buy, 3 buy, and 9 hold. And that is simply because a lot of analysts know you get a lot of what is in the stock for free simply because it has been beaten to the ground. And as you can see here, the reported earnings was a lot higher than estimated, which means they make nice money. So people simply need to get over the fact that the Johnson & Johnson agreement did not happen and just buy into the stock. That is what I'm doing at least. I'm just waiting for the technicals to be better because I don't want to see -3%, -4% each day and then all of a sudden it spikes. I want to wait until it flats out, and then once I have a golden cross, I'm gonna buy in a little position in it just to see if it's viable, and if it falls more, I'm gonna buy up again because if in trouble, double. That is at least my method. So yeah, quite interesting at the moment. That was my analysis of Genmab. If you did like this video, please don't forget to like and subscribe.